Well, I thought the crowd helped us get off to a great start. We were real energetic on the defensive end, and I really thought we shared the ball extremely well today. The only hiccup was beginning of the second half. We didn't really get as many deflections, turned the ball over, got them in transition, but had enough stops where they couldn't get close enough to where they could take the lead or tie it, and then we were able to stop turning it over, and once we got going, we got going.
Scott, after that second half lull, start off second half, you guys really had a strong finish. How good was that to see?
I'll move over. Well, I thought, say that again, please?
Yeah, you had the strong finish after the lull to start the second half. How good was that to see?
Well, I'd like to stop seeing the lull to begin the second half, because the last couple of games, we've talked about that. That's been a trouble area at home and this year. And again, great with the recovery. Love how we guarded during that time, because like when we played Oklahoma State or some other games here, we've let people take the lead where we had a big enough lead where we were able to take a punch. And Coach Weber's teams are never going to give up. They're always going to fight you to the end, and they're never going to give you anything. You got to beat them. But I really thought we did a good job taking the ball to the basket, getting them in foul trouble, getting easies. We only shot 2 threes in the second half, and yet we were able to be really efficient.
Coach, you talk about the parity in the Big 12 all the time, about how anybody can beat anybody, and especially after falling right at the end there, up in Manhattan to them. Are you surprised at all that it was kind of this dominant today?
Well, very surprised. The last 4 games came down to the last shot, except for the one here Brady hit, and then we won bigger in overtime. But I think that's how the games we've approached, knowing that it's going to be a close game, prepared for a close game. We've been able to be on task enough where it wasn't close. I think that's the key. When you go in and you underestimate and you start taking some quick shots or bad shots or uncharacteristic plays, that's how you're in a position where you can't pull away. And very pleased with us that when we got it going second half, we were able to build on the lead and not relinquish it by having some plays that allowed them to get back in it.
Scott, you got 57 minutes out of your top 3 reserves. How much did that help you down the stretch to close out a game? Because there's been a couple of games where y'all look tired at the end. How much did that help you today?
Definitely, it helps when you bring in the bench, and TP's been so good for a while, but Al was tremendous today. And when you're getting that kind of support off the bench, Ish didn't score, but he had 4 assists. And I mean, when you're getting people off the bench that are spelling and giving minutes like that, it allows us to continue to be aggressive on the defensive end. I thought we got our hands on a lot of basketballs today because of it.
What were the main things you wanted to limit them to offensively to hold them to 42 points?
Well, I think, there are 2 seniors inside, Nino and Gibson. You don't want them. Nino was 18 points, 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line last game. In the short corners, both mostly tried to know where he was at. And Gibson limit his high post touches and duckings in the post. But at the end of the day, they missed a lot of shots. They had 1 for 16 from 3, and at their place, they made big shots down the stretch. And there was a variety of guys that did it.
Coach, at the beginning of that second half, the drought that you guys went through, we've kind of seen it maybe here and there in a few other games, and the team seemed like it kind of tensed up, but today they fought through it. Was that maybe kind of in your mind a step toward major progress really by the end of the season?
Well, I think the key, as long as we can defend, you give yourself a chance to go through spells, and as long as you can take care of the basketball. And again, only 10 turnovers. We had a plethora of them to begin the second half, but then we cut it off. And that was important.
Scott, this is the 7th time in the last 8 years you won 20 games. I wonder if you could just kind of reflect on that.
Well, I think for college basketball, 20's always kind of been that magical number, that benchmark. And I think it's a great tribute to the players we've had here. It's a great tribute to the fans, because you don't win home court games without fan support. So it's hand in hand, and today we had a great turnout for a 12 o'clock game, and we fed off that energy. We were able to get a lot of deflections because of that. So, I mean, that's a tribute to everybody involved, the leadership of the upperclassmen.
Coach, do you feel like maybe this team might be hitting its stride, kind of here coming up with some big games to end the season?
Well, with the Big 12, you don't get too high or low after any game, and I think we all realize that. So another It doesn't matter who you're playing, it's another top team in the country, and they do something exceptionally well. So we'll just try to keep getting better each and every game so that we can be at our best at the end of the year.
Back on the 20-win thing, is it easy to take that for granted when this program's been where it was when you first got here and now at a stretch like this?
Well, I think the outstanding leadership we've had from President Starr, Ian McCaw, across the board in the sports, I think is just a tribute to Baylor Nation. And I think all of us have kind of fed off of each other. But I know when you win, we've been ranked 8 straight years in the top 25 at some point, and us and Kansas, the only 2 Big 12 teams to do that. I mean, in college basketball, with the turnover, with the one-and-dones, with the 43% or whatever transfer rate, I mean, look at the national championship game. It was UConn and Florida last year. It's hard to sustain because you just have so much influx in our sport alone. I mean, nobody has the turnover that our sport does. So to be consistent, again, Baylor Nation, the players we've had, the fact that they've stayed with the program, haven't transferred, is why we've been successful.
Scott, why was your defense so much more successful this time against Kansas State compared to the first time against them?
Well, second half we made more shots today, but you can't underestimate the home court with the crowd. I'm just telling you. Again, in our sport, it makes the biggest difference. And when we have a good turnout, we play better. And I think every coach will tell you that. So we had 40 deflections tonight. If we were on the road and I gave the best pep talk in the world and our guys were motivated, I doubt we would have 40 deflections.
Scott,
So the crowd can't be underestimated.
Last question for Coach Shirk.
Scott, you had 5 guys double figures, 5 guys with at least 4 assists. Is that kind of the ultimate team game?
You love that as a coach, and you love it when guys are looking for each other. It helps when you make shots too, because after you have a great pass and you miss and you miss and you miss, then people start trying to take it into their own hands. But when they're making those shots and everybody's pointing and congratulating one another, it just feeds.